Hello, my darlings, it's Madame Zezuba here, the world's most accurate oracle, with our reading now for Cancer, our little crabs. Hello, my little crabby darlings. This is your reading for the week commencing the 2nd of December in 2024. And as usual, we're using the Cards Against Humanity deck for the deep penetrating readings that usually result. We go where no one goes before, or after, or since, or when, whatever. Spirit, 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 shuffle, 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 shuffle. So if your sun or moon is in Cancer, or if you have a little crab rising, this is for you, darlings. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Okay, let's see what Spirit has to say for Cancer. Little crabbies out there in the dark, in internet land, seeking guidance. Little crabby querents. Okay, 1, 2, down here. This is, of course, Madame Zezuba's special spread. No one else uses this spread, at least not yet. This is the spread of personal responsibility. This is the spread that asks you to take charge of your life, but gives guidance so you know what charge to take and in what way and in the right order of action that you might need to take. All right, let's have a look at this. Okay. First, the anchoring of the reading. Where is this all coming from, darlings? Where is it all coming from? Lactation. Mother's milk. The source of nourishment. This is the source. This reading is really all about feeding and being fed at a very, very primal level. This is about the most profound nourishment that you can get, and also giving profound nourishment. So somehow everything in this reading is going to relate to this idea of where are you being fed, or what are you feeding, and how. Lactation, of course, happens in mother's boobies in order to make baby grow. So lactation also implies that the core of this reading is going to be about nurturing something in order that it may grow from a position of being younger or being more, shall we say, undeveloped. This is not about nourishing the adult. This is about nourishing the inner child, whether it is you that is being nourished or whether it is you nourishing others. Of course, this applies to both men and women equally, because this card should be interpreted not literally, although it might be literal. If, for example, there are mothers out there and you're having trouble with breastfeeding, or not, as the case may be, or might having to do with that sort of thing. After all, this is a general reading, and there would be mothers out there who might be producing. Nevertheless, for the vast majority of us who are not female persons with breasts full of the milky lalas, this means nourishment. This is about what are you feeding and what is being fed. Okay. Your current self, version of you, ethnic cleansing. This is interesting. Ethnicity. This calls into question. You've been questioning your identity lately, darling, and you've been looking at your past, and you've been looking at the cleansing part is about really, really wiping. If you can imagine a mirror, imagine a window that is between you and your past and your roots, where you originate from, darling. Who your ancestors were, but who you most identify. This calls into questions of identity, darling. This is all about that. But the cleansing isn't about elimination in this case. This is about putting a window. Imagine a window between you and the past, and that window is often foggy or dirty, and you're wiping it clean. You are uncovering parts. This spirit is asking you to delve into your past, darlings. Delve into your pasts and look at them very, very. Let's not just say clinically, but let's see what we can clean up. Let's see what we can putting the past into order, darlings. Putting the past into order. Maybe also how do we put this? Putting out the dirty laundry, washing the dirty laundry, perhaps. There may be secrets in the past that need to be cleaned up, perhaps, I think. Maybe family secrets that haven't been revealed up until now, or that need to be revealing, or maybe that's where you're coming from. Forces working against this inquiry that you've been in when you've been looking at your past and trying to clean it up have been perfunctory foreplay. This implies that perhaps you know that there's something in the past, in your ancestry, something about maybe also things that you have inherited from your ancestors, and you haven't really done much about it. You know that you've needed to do something, but you actually haven't done it. It's been perfunctory. You have done maybe a few inquiries. Maybe it could be as literal as looking at your family tree and finding what secrets might be there. Or it could be that there are some things in the past that have never been resolved. Going back to childhood. Nevertheless, we're looking at something that you haven't really committed to very much. And maybe Spirit is asking you, maybe now would be the time to start committing to that. Now, on the positive end, maybe the reason that poorly timed Holocaust jokes. This is the too soon card, darling. This is the card that says, especially in a positive position, we have been trying to make light of this, and perhaps not necessarily in the best possible way, but it was coming from a good place. People have hidden things from you in your past for what they thought was good, for what they thought were good reasons. You have tried to get the truth before, but it hasn't actually happened. Because there's been part of you, the perfunctory part, that hasn't possibly been ready to see what might actually be revealed. Spirit is going to be asking you, I think, to look into this more deeply. Or maybe not. Sometimes it might be best to let sleeping logs lie. We don't know yet. Let's have a look at other. This is a very family-oriented reading, I think, perhaps, which is very, very appropriate because Cancerians are very, very, crabby, family. So let's have a look at what your family probably has to say about this situation. Coat hanger abortions. Oh, well then, darling. This is very, very, very interesting. So I would hazard a guess that what is going on here is that there is an issue about paternity, maternity, unwanted children, botched situations of adoption, things that were not particularly well handled in the past and that have probably caused a lot of shame. You have always known about these situations and you've always wanted to do something about it, but there's been a part of you that is afraid of what has come up, and you have been probably told, probably to protect a nasty past here, darling, some little porkies, little lies. Some of them have been white and some of them have probably been not so white, darling. So I think that we're really looking very, very strongly at that sort of situation. Now, if we do let sleeping dogs lie and we do let the situation just stay in this perfunctory foreplay situation where you're not really committed to looking at the past, what is most likely to apply only dating Asian women. Interesting. We're looking at a situation, darling, where we're just going to see more and more of the same. It's very much about tradition. Because when Asian women come in this position, we're talking about traditional values, more really in this case about maintaining the illusion of tradition, of what was a proper thing to do, proper behavior, things that were probably not spoken of in the past, like, for example, situations of unwanted pregnancies, shame regarding that, and wanting to just maintain the status quo. Oh. It will be very interesting to see what Spirit has to say in terms of how this situation is going to change. This situation is about the milkman. Darling, we're looking at we're looking very much here, darling, at a situation where paternity, not necessarily the paternity of a child, although it could possibly be the paternity of a project. It could be about credit for past things and who the real father or mother of this project is. We're probably looking at a situation, if it isn't a family-oriented situation, it would also be a professional situation where someone has taken inappropriate credit for something, possibly in order to keep up appearances. The decision, though, wasn't very well handled. On the negative side of things, crazy hot cousin sex. Oh, darling, this is getting very, very interesting. Cousin sex, sort of borderline incest. Something happened in the past that created, this is all about nourishment, remember, darling, that created a situation that needed nourishment in order to maintain a facade, because of something that was a little bit naughty, a bit daring, not something that anyone would have approved of. Obviously, I think Spirit is going to ask you to look into this more deeply, but you are going to have to become a different person as a result of this, and Spirit is going to call upon you to become being a dick to children. This is very interesting. Spirit, I think, is asking you in this situation that the immature in this situation, because I think that this situation has actually evolved from immature decisions by immature people doing immature things, that has resulted in some form of engenderment of a life or of a project. You're not going to be able to resolve this situation without addressing the childishness. You are going to have to be the baddie in this situation. I think the person in the situation who needs to speak truth. I don't think you can get away with this. You are going to have to somehow find the truth of the situation and speak the truth of it, no matter what the consequences might be. Of course, there will be blowback from that situation. That will be a salty surprise. Interesting. A salty surprise. Salt. The imagery of salt is interesting because it could pertain in this case to the ocean. It could also somehow the relationship somewhere in this. Of course, saltiness is also, the womb is filled with salt, salty water, as is of course semen. Semen is also salty. But it could be that what people thought might have been the past might not have been the past at all. This, I think, darling, this situation, this family situation or this professional situation is going to have more than one, shall we say, sudden turns, sudden twists, sudden revelations that will come from as a result of your inquiring a little bit deeper. A salty surprise. There will be forces that are going to be working to support this. And this means, on the one hand, committing suicide Interesting. I don't think that this is a bad thing. This is not to be taken as a literal committing of suicide or self-deletion or whatever they want to call it. This is about killing the parts of the self that need to be killed. Whatever has stopped you in the past from looking at it, your fears, you need to kill those fears. You need to let those parts of yourself who don't want to know the truth, you need to let those die. This is what Spirit is telling you, but that you will be supported in this. Furthermore, nothing but sand. Interesting. Once you've looked into this situation, you will realize that it was probably a lot to do about very little at all. That what this mountain has been created out of a molehill. It isn't really that bad. It isn't really nearly as horrible as everybody is going to make it out to it. The situation will show also, of course, because this card in this position will indicate that it is a force in your favor. It could mean sandblasting. It could just mean that after you have looked into this and you've shone the light of truth, it will be like a sandblasting. Just getting rid of all of the crud, all of the garbage around this situation. And it will ultimately result in pooping back and forth forever. Yes, there will be those looking at this situation who will never be completely resigned to this. However, because this card is in a very positive position, it means that perhaps the story will never quite end. The story will never be to everyone's satisfaction. However, if you choose to go down this path of revealing the past, the ultimate result will be that it will be a discussion, a learning point for those who come after. They will look at this situation and say, yes, either never again or let's never handle it in quite that way, even if the thing actually happened. There are lessons to be learned from this situation. It will be the discussion for quite a while. I hope this has been of help for you, darling. I hope the best comes out of your seeking for truth. Until next time, darlings, bye-bye.